Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started with our program here this morning. Because I know we have a few of our recipients here that are going to the Clemson game here in a few hours. So we've got to get them out before halftime. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021 Steve Boyd Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It is my pleasure to stand before you as we gather here to recognize the highlights and achievements of a very special group of individuals. 15 years ago, this Hall of Fame was established through the kind gift of a prep family as we prepare to open the doors of the Boardman Athletic Center. Through the years, I've been fortunate to witness the induction of many special teams and individuals who have represented their team, family, and school community with great pride and sportsmanship that made all of us proud of their accomplishments at the high school and collegiate levels. And this group gathered here today is no exception. We have Andrew Hammond, class of 2010. He was a junior Olympic and collegiate diver at the University of South Carolina, where he was the top diver in the 2013 SEC Championships and qualified for the NCAA zones. Currently, Andrew is the head dive coach at Liberty University in Virginia. Brooke Stevens, class of 2015. She's a 5-time state champion for prep and tennis. And I remember not that long ago, her senior year, there were a lot of coaches saying she could have beaten all the men in the boys division that year. She was that dominated. She competed at Ole Miss, helping them to NCAA appearances. She was an ITA scholar athlete. Prior to Ole Miss, she had a career high ranking of number 49 in the nation. And she was also a very important member of the Preps volleyball squad, earning all-state honors for 4 consecutive years. Christian Guthrie, class of 2015. He received all-state honors in both soccer and basketball in 2014 and 2015. The 2014 basketball squad lost in the state finals, and the 2015 soccer team went to the Final Four, and Christian competed at BYU. Dr. Bill Rosenbloom. Dr. Rosenbloom served Augusta Prep in many areas for more than a decade as the team doctor for Prep football, volleyball, basketball, soccer, and track teams, attending almost all home and away contests. You could find him volunteering in the concession stand, sometimes at halftime, and was a wonderful mentor to our athletic trainers. He was also a member of our varsity boys coaching staff during his last year here at Prep. And our 2014 varsity girls soccer team, state champs. This group of fine young ladies were led by Coach Tom Noren, winning the first state title in Prep history and starting an unbelievable run of 4 consecutive state titles. I still remember 13 years ago standing here when I witnessed the tears of joy from the 72 and 77 soccer teams with their beloved coach, Walter Davis. As you know, we're celebrating in conjunction with the Hall of Fame our 60th anniversary of Augusta Prep. Today, we also remember the lives lost on 9/11 20 years ago today. Most of us remember exactly where we were and what we were doing. Being a New Yorker, I was in Dallas at my previous school, Green Hill, helping celebrate our 50th anniversary with 2,000 students, faculty, and school families. Please join me for a moment of silence in memory of those lives lost on that Tuesday morning. Thank you. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Steve Boyd, who will present our first inductee.
Sorry, I need my readers. I'm getting older, for those of you who knew me when I was much younger. As Mike Guthrie's associate head basketball coach, I had the honor to witness Christian's growth as an all-state basketball player. So today I would like to recognize Christian, but also would like to welcome his parents, Raylyn and Mike, his wife Kinsey, and Kinsey's parents as well. Also, if you were at the football game last night, you saw Dr. Rosenbloom just resuming his position right there at the bench, helping out. It's awesome. While Augusta Prep has had numerous all-state performers over the past decades, there have been far fewer student athletes that have earned all-state honors in multiple sports, while also receiving from the coaches and faculty the Scott Jarrett Olive Award, Augusta Prep's highest athletic award, emphasizing character and sportsmanship along with academic and athletic accomplishments. Christian Guthrie is one of those recipients. During his 4 years of playing varsity basketball, and yes, even 5 years of varsity soccer, Christian actually scored his first varsity goal as an 8th grader at Stratford, right, Christian? Stratford? Okay. Christian twice won all-state honors while leading the boys varsity soccer team to the Final Four, and he helped propel the boys varsity basketball team, coached by his father, to the state finals in 2014. There was an exciting semifinal win over arch rival Westminster in a game played in Macon. Unfortunately, we then succumbed to a very powerful Stratford team in the GSA tournament finals. Following graduation, Christian matriculated to Brigham Young University, where he played both intramural football and basketball, and was one of only 6 out of 140 players to make the BYU soccer team when they had open tryouts that fall. At that time, BYU played in the PDL, that's the Premier Development League, which is a step above Division I. During his first 2 years, Christian saw some time at striker, right back, and also midfielder, and he still considers the goal he scored against the Colorado Rapids in their under-23 squad as a highlight. BYU then, in his last 2 years, made the decision to return to the Collegiate Club League, and during those years, Christian started as the right back. During Christian's junior year, BYU, as the #1 seed at the National Championship Tournament in Phoenix, Arizona, defeated Michigan State 3-0, Penn 5-0, UNC 2-0, NC State 1-0, Wisconsin 3-1 in the semifinals, and Cal Poly 4-1 in the finals to become national champions. After graduating from BYU with a bachelor's degree in science, Christian accepted a job at Clearwater Analytics in Boise, Idaho. However, he's now returned to the Southeast, and he works for Bandwidth and resides in Raleigh, North Carolina with his wife, Kinsey. I now welcome Christian to come to the podium and receive his plaque.
Thanks, Mr. Boyd, and thanks the selection committee for giving me this great honor. I'm really happy and honored to be here with all these people. I mean, you heard all their resumes. They're pretty accomplished. And I just want to thank Mr. Boyd and my dad for teaching me everything I know about basketball. My dad will say he taught me everything, but Mr. Boyd taught me some things too. And then Coach Foley, Coach Admin, Coach Noren, just all the other soccer coaches I had, Coach Holiday. I don't think the athletic programs here would run without you, so thanks for all you do with that. All my teammates, and then especially my parents and Kinsey and my in-laws for supporting me in all my athletic endeavors. So thank you.
introduce Bonnie Messner, who will present Dr. Bill Rosenwood.
I am not a natural-born public speaker, so please bear with me as we go through this. I served as the athletic trainer here at Augusta Prep from 2009 to 2016. I have the distinct honor of being able to introduce Dr. Rosenbloom today. You know, he really made my time here at Augusta Prep just so much easier. You know, as an athletic trainer, you know, we have the job of trying to keep our athletes safe, trying to keep them on the field, able to do what they love to do on a daily basis. With a team physician behind us, that just makes our job so much easier every day. You know, we're often the face of the team, the sports medicine, the athletic healthcare team. We're the ones that coaches and administrators and parents and athletes deal with on a daily basis. But having that support behind us really just makes everything go so much more smoothly. A team physician is one who has a leadership role in the organization, management, and provision of the care of athletes in individual, team, and mass sporting events. But the most important responsibility of the team physician is the medical care of athletes at all ages and at all levels. And I think that Dr. Rosenbloom really, he represented that very well. And he took this role voluntarily. You know, nobody signed him up and said, you're hired, you're gonna be our team physician. And I see him kind of cringing there in the background. I'm sorry for all this, but this is my opportunity to express my gratitude to you. He was a major presence, obviously, in our orthopedic department at Augusta University as the director of our orthopedic trauma program for many years, but he was also a major presence here in the activities of his children. But, you know, he was here for so much more than just those activities. When he saw the need for his presence, he was quick to let me know. Sports medicine is not my specialty, it's not my primary focus. But, you know, I'll make myself available for whatever your athletes, whatever our athletes might need. And he did that. And I could call on him at any time. I apologize to Gwen, I know she's not here, but I often did call him just about any time. And I also learned very quickly not to email him. Call or text, he was pretty good with that. Don't email, he doesn't answer those. So, you know, again, he took his role very seriously, and he was often, like Tom said earlier, he was here for home games. More often than not, he traveled to away games, which somehow I still wonder how he managed to do all of that, being, you know, a trauma surgeon, you know, at a major university here. But there were times I remember where I was here with volleyball and I couldn't make it to a middle school football game. I got a call from a parent saying, you know, Johnny fell awkwardly on his arm, but don't worry, Dr. Rosenbloom was there. He took a look at him. We're going to meet him down at the clinic and we'll get x-rays. We'll let you know how it went. And that was just, you know, that extra peace of mind for me that, you know, our athletes were taken care of. You know, I think there were plenty of great sporting events that Dr. Rosenbloom's, his athletes, his children took part in. You know, football championships, soccer championships, volleyball championships. But there were many more that they weren't a part of, and he was still there. And, you know, that support really just, it meant the world. So I think his presence for me is what I always appreciated the most. He was there. He was there to, you know, give me the support if I needed it, but he was quick to let me know if I didn't need it. He was just happy to throw a ball on the sidelines with one of the ball boys. And, you know, quite often he did that. Quite often he chased down point after attempts, and, you know, I mean, he was just pretty much always there. He also had no problem providing a little extra reinforcement when it was needed. We never really had any situations where coaches or athletes had any issues with the recommendations that I gave, but just in case, he was there. He was there to lend support from the stands, on the sidelines, from his office downtown. I'm pretty sure that there were even a few return calls through a nurse from the OR, if I remember correctly. I could count on for a hug, for an x-ray when we needed it, on-field reduction of, dislocations, just the everyday kind of stuff. He was around way more than most would have been. And somehow that was just about any time we needed him to be. And for that, I am extremely grateful. For the Augusta Prep athletes, parents, and administrators at the time when he was here, including last night, I guess, that support was immeasurable. For me as an athletic trainer, trying to provide the best athletic health care to the athletes of Augusta Prep, for your children, for you as athletes, those of you who are here today, that support meant the world. So it is my honor to recognize Dr. Rosenbloom and with his induction into the Steve Boyd Augusta Prep Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Bonnie mentioned it a little bit, but the most important thing I did here was bring 4 children through the school and be a part of the whole school. So that's really been the joy of it. I've had the pleasure of getting to know lots of people, and mostly the students and the athletes through what I was blessed to be able to do here, and it was fantastic. Since she got to embarrass me, I'm just going to tell a quick story. So Bonnie, when she runs out on the field to check on an athlete, usually leans down on one knee to talk to the athlete and evaluate. And I would always, if I went out, I would always walk by and knock her over. Which, of course, she would say, "I think this is a good time for that," but no. That's what I did. In any event, it's been an absolute honor and privilege to be a part of this, and I thank you all.
Our next inductee is Andrew, and he's aware of this. We received a phone call yesterday, and our presenter, who I couldn't wait to meet, Todd Sherrod, is recently retired at South Carolina, and he's basically recognized as one of the top dive coaches in the United States, if not the world. He had a surgery that got put off a little bit because he was in Tokyo at the Olympics, watching his athletes compete. So he's world renowned and just a great person. And he sent his, he felt so bad he couldn't be here today, but he was kind enough to send his remarks to me. It's on my phone, so please bear with me while I read it. And we're trying not to embarrass you too much, Andrew. It's been my honor to have known and coached Andrew over the past 21 years. At age 8, Andrew came to my club team, South Carolina Divers, and unbeknownst to me, for him began his life career. Andrew was a committed athlete with the club and trained and competed up through his senior year in high school with great success. Upon graduating, I decided to give him an opportunity to dive in the SEC with the University of South Carolina. You wouldn't know this by looking at him now, but he was very skinny and needed to gain quite a bit of muscle. That, and he hardly spoke a word. I immediately went to work on those improvements, and we put him on a cheeseburger diet with a lifting regimen. Also, I made him commit to speak to at least 5 people a day. Ha ha. Through the years of South Carolina, the cheeseburgers bulked him up, and he stayed on a consistent course of improvement to the end of his collegiate career. Andrew is the only athlete I have ever worked with that took his talent and abilities to his physical limits. This was very significant in my eyes, as even my 5 Olympians have never reached their full limitations. Andrew made that easy, as he had a drive for knowledge, excellence, and was fearless. Even after rotating on the platform and landing in a most uncomfortable position, flat, he would get back up and do another one. He was amazing. You could always count on him to put points on the board at conference, as he was a consistent competitor. Finishing up his senior year at USC, he had accomplished everything he set out to do. What I did not realize, though, is that he was not done with diving yet. He began working with the age group divers at USC, and his coaching abilities began to develop just like his diving. Before long, he became an accomplished club coach. After some time, he was offered a job at Marshall University, where he developed their first conference champion. Then during the Rio Olympic Games, he called me there and wanted to come back to USC and work with me to develop his coaching further. It was at this point he wanted to make coaching his career. Andrew assisted me, and I was able to give him all the experience and everything I knew to prepare him for a future major college job. It was not long, though, through a series of events, that he was offered that opportunity at Liberty University. I am very proud of Andrew. He has earned the privilege to be in this Hall of Fame. I know his coaching will reach great heights and end up at an Olympic level one day, and I have no doubt. If I had one word to define him, it would be heart. Andrew has a lot of that, and that is why he is respected and liked by all. Just like his diving, he will reach his limits. My last bit of coaching advice, though, is I hope he takes this to heart: stay off the cheeseburgers. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a loud applause here for Andrew Hammond.
Well, first, thank you all for being here. I'd love to thank the selection committee. I think it's a tremendous honor to be even considered, because when I was an athlete here, prep didn't have diving as a sport. So I didn't really officially represent Augusta Prep as an athlete, really, for my sophomore through my senior year. So for them to consider me for the Hall of Fame induction and to induct me today is really an honor. And shows how much they care about their students and how much they care about their athletes to really go through with it. Something I've been thinking a lot over the past couple months since I found out I was being inducted is what prepared me to be a coach and what prepared me to be a good athlete. And I think one of the biggest things is learning, right? I've been surrounded by great coaches and great teachers ever since I stepped foot into prep, learning from Todd or just observing, right? And learning, seeing how these teachers teach and taking bits and pieces of things from them. So a lot of my success I have today as a coach, I attribute directly to Augusta Prep. So thank you for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you to my parents as well for supporting me.
Our next presenter is Coach Rich Bland, who will induct Brooke Stevens. Mr. Bland.
First of all, congratulations to all the inductees into the Augusta Prep Stephen Brooks Boyd Hall of Fame. It's an honor and a pleasure to see so many of you out here today and to have watched you compete as Cavaliers over the years. For those of you who don't know Brooke, or had the pleasure of teaching, coaching, or being a teammate of hers, I'd like to introduce her first as a tennis player and then some highlights as a volleyball player. When it comes to tennis, Brooke has tennis in her blood. She had an uncle played at Notre Dame, a cousin who played at Florida, and a cousin who played at, what was that, Brooke? Charleston also. And also, her sister Jennifer is here, was ranked #1 nationally as a junior player and played at the University of Virginia. So the tennis courses through her veins. Some of her highlights, I know Tom mentioned a few of them at the onset here, is that she was part of 5 region championship teams for tennis, 2 state championship teams that were bookended 8th grade year and senior year at high school, and then that record of 5 single state titles from 8th grade through senior year. At Ole Miss, she was a Division I athlete there, played her freshman and sophomore years, helping the team earn berths to the NCAA tournament both years, with a total of 11 singles victories and 11 doubles victories at her time there at Ole Miss. I reached out to some of Brooke's coaches, tennis coaches, for some thoughts and memories of her as a tennis player. First coach I reached out to was Coach Ryan Coe, who was her coach junior and senior year at Prep, and here's some of the words he had to say about her and memories. Brooke was always humble, even though she was way above everyone else's ability. She was a great teammate with her team, and she was always positive and helped other players with their game and their mindset. She was always supportive, not only to her team, but especially with her opponents. And though she could completely dominate a match, you would always see her ease up when she was winning by a large margin, as not to humiliate her opponents. A true champion. I also know she was very respectful to her coach, me, knowing clearly she could beat me badly. Smiley emoji. Most of all, she was human and never took her skills for granted. I do remember her never dropping except maybe for one time, at least when I coached her, and that was Kylie Duckworth in the region individual tournament, and she had to go a 3rd set. I think that was the one time I saw her having to regroup. Other than that, she never dropped a set, even through middle school tennis. Brooke always attended practices, regardless of whether she needed to or not, as she was always committed to the team and her teammates. She was just a tremendous athlete with amazing positive attitude. When she played, she always got the job done for the team. Bad calls never fazed her, and she never was argumentative with others. It's really how humble she is that sets her apart from others, and how she never complained about having to do things she already could do. She was never bored with her team, and was a true athlete and teammate. Coach Dixon, who's a good friend, and coached her 8th grade through sophomore year, and if you know Chris, he's a man of few words. And Chris was on this email thread. He said, yeah, I agree with everything Coach Coe said. And just to add, Brooke was like that even as an 8th grader playing on the varsity team. She was a great kid to coach, and most of the time I had her play against the boys at practice. She could beat them 99% of the time, and the other 1%, she was just being nice. When it comes to volleyball, I had the honor of being Brooke's volleyball coach here at Augusta Prep during her high school years, and also teaching her in the middle school. Some of the stats and just accomplishments that jump out of her through her volleyball career is she was a 4-year starter. And this is rare. In my 20 years coaching here, I think I've had 3 girls that started for 4 years, and Brooke's one of them. The teams were, she was a 3-time all-region selection, 2-time all-state athlete, okay? Only 12 girls make that team in the state. Would have been a 3-time All-State and a 4-time All-Region, if not for a back injury her junior year. Her teams were 3-time region champions, and some of her teammates are here today. She went to 3 Final Fours and 1 state runner-up game. Her varsity teams in 4 years had a record of 88 and 29. I reached out to one of her teammates, Hannah Massengal, who played with Brooke from 6th grade through senior year. One of her memories was that although a competitive volleyball player, Brooke was always a good sport on both sides of the net. One of her favorite memories she had with Brooke was when we played Young Americans that senior year, and Coach Guthrie was at my side for that amazing match. And the team went down 2-0 in a 5-set match. We fought all the way back to 10-4 in the final set. We were down 10-4 in the final set, and eventually won, going on an 11-1 run. And Brooke was always positive and told us to never give up. Young Americans had a Bible verse painted on the wall, and it was about persevering. Brooke constantly referred to that verse during our huge comeback. We eventually made that our team motto our senior season, and Brooke also knew how to be serious but fun. Even during those comebacks or when we were down, she was always laughing at her own and everyone else's mistakes, and made it a lot easier to move on to the next point. Overall, Brooke was a great leader and made being a co-captain with her a lot more fun. Lastly, my memories of Brooke as a volleyball player are that of a fierce competitor who played with great athleticism, grace, and always with a smile on her face. Her senior year stands out to me in particular. She came back from missing quite a bit of her junior year with that injury to have one of the most dominant years by any prep volleyball player in my 20 years here. She led the team in kills, hitting percentage, passing, was second in aces, digs, and serving percentage, and she led the team to within 1 touched ball of another state title game in a 5-set thriller against Oak Mountain. She's the best tennis player to moonlight as a 2-time All-State volleyball player I've ever seen. And lastly, I want to congratulate Brooke's parents, Mark and Susan Stevens, for raising such a talented, smart, and amazing woman. It's my honor to welcome Brooke Stevens to the Stephen Brooks Boyd Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I have a bunch of thank yous. This is about to be a run for a thank you speech. First, I want to thank my parents for the endless amount of time and money you guys put into letting me pursue my passion. Does not go unnoticed. And my sister, who was my role model for forever. I never got to #1 in the nation, but I always tried. To Coach Holodak, Mr. Coe, and Coach Dixon, wouldn't ever have been able to go 5 years without you letting me do an 8th grade year and letting me miss school for my tennis tournaments and so much more. To Coach Guthrie and especially Mr. Bland, you guys acted like mentors. Volleyball was my escape, and Bonnie, you helped me get through that back injury. I mean, I wore a brace, so that's pretty bad. But you guys were always there for me in volleyball. Could have been my true passion, honestly. You gave me best friends for life. I mean, I talk to them every single day. And especially just prep in general. I would not be the woman I am today without you guys. Were great coaches, but teaching-wise, I'm in dental school. You guys always put academics first and really respect everything you've done for me and my family and just everyone. And shout out to Chloe because she's my best friend. You guys gave me my best friend for life, so thank you for this. It's such an honor. And yeah.
Our next presenter will be Coach Tom Noren with our 2014 varsity girls soccer team.
First, congratulations to all the inductees today. What a great honor it is, and it's great to hear about all your accomplishments. Especially Dr. Rosenbloom, I thought he was being inducted as the best ball boy in the history of school. I had no idea there were other things going on, but it's my privilege to introduce the 2014 girls soccer team that won the first state championship here. I've never inducted a team before, so I don't know. I assume best thing is have we stand up as I call out the names and they'll come up.
Talk about the team and then we'll bring them up
Okay.
and give them all
All right.
certificates.
All right, we'll bring them all up at the end here. To give you a little, I guess, a little perspective, the bulk of the team in 2014 were sophomores, freshmen, and eighth graders in 2013. And the last game that we played in 2013, and I should say before I tell a lot of you, well, I don't have a lot of stories, but before I say some of these things, sometimes my memory isn't as good as it should be. So if the girls disagree with some of this, I'm the one with the mic. So the last game we played in 2013 was a state semifinal. We played Stratford, which has been mentioned up here before. They dominated most of the sports, I assume, when they're in the GISA. And in soccer, I think they won 15 state titles. So when we played them in 2013, in the semifinal game, we had the opening kickoff. And again, my memory may not be great, but we had the opening kickoff and sent the ball down the field and scored a goal maybe 10 seconds of the game. And by the time I sat back on the bench thinking, this is going really well, Stratford had scored on us and we were 1-1. And I don't know how much, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, we scored again. And we went up 2-1, and I was feeling pretty good. And Stratford, within 30 seconds, scored and tied up 2-2. And the same thing happened again. It was the craziest game, one of the craziest games I've ever been associated with. We scored to go up 3-2, and again within 30 seconds, Stratford had tied it and gone 3-3. And then I don't remember exactly what happened from there. I think it went 4-3, maybe 5-3 at the half. We came out second half and scored, made it 5-4, and thought, well, this is going to be interesting. And the end score was not 5-4. It was worse than that. But that was kind of where we started. And one of the memories I have of this team was preseason, having a meeting with the girls preseason and talking about things that we could accomplish. And because of the talent that we had and the age of the kids, I was convinced that we could win a state championship. And so we talked about winning a state championship. We had no seniors on the team in 2014, so we talked about winning multiple state championships. And the one thing that I remember being important in my mind was Stratford and Mount DeSales, who were the big teams in GSA, were leaving in 2015. And so I told the girls, if you want to really be recognized, you got to win it in 2014. Because if you lose it in 2014, win it in 2015, then there's always asterisk. Well, you didn't win it when Stratford and Mount DeSales were in the final, or were in the league. So it was very important in my mind to win it in 2014. The girls had a terrific season. We started out 3-0, and the third of those wins was against Westminster, which was always a positive. After that, we went to Stratford to play in a tournament. We played Holy Spirit, which was another big GSA team, and Stratford. We ended up with a 4-0 win over Holy Spirit, and it took a last-minute penalty kick, literally the last minute, to beat Stratford 1-0. So after that, I think 2014 was the last year as well that you cannot play, the public schools in Georgia would not be able to play the private schools. So we never played Greenbrier, Lakeside, Evans, any of the schools here locally. So to get competition for the team, we'd always go over to South Carolina and try to play some of the big schools in South Carolina where we could play the public schools. And we went to Columbia and played 3 South Carolina big public schools. I don't know which classifications we're in, but again, since I'm up here, we'll just say it was like 7A. And we won 2, tied 1. And so we end up, obviously moving forward from that. I felt like we had a lot of good experience, playing some pretty tough competition. Obviously, we were on a pretty good roll. I think we came back and played the last few region games, the last of which was Westminster here at home, which was a 2-1 win, which gave the girls the region title. And so after that, obviously, it was going into the playoffs. And the first round of the playoffs still typically is not that competitive. The second round of the playoffs, we played Mount DeSales and ended up with a relatively easy 4-0 win. And then we got to the semifinals, and then I don't remember this until I started looking up where we played, but I remember specifically playing at Deerfield, Windsor. Now when you make it to the semifinals, it's all one venue, but back then we had to go to Deerfield, and Deerfield played on a football field which was already way too small to play soccer. The advantage that we had is I had so many really strong players, that all played at the club together and could pass the ball really well, and all we needed was a little bit of space. And so Deerfield had a field that was already too small to play on. When I got there, I realized that they brought the sidelines in like 10 more yards and the end lines in, so we were playing on this tiny little field, terribly frustrated. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, my recollection was it was the first game of that season that it was like 95 degrees. It'd been pretty cool up to that point. We got down there and it was unbelievably hot, and we went down early in the game, 1-0. We came back and tied it 1-1, went down again 2-1, came back and tied again. I don't remember if we had gone up 3-2 by halftime or in the second half, but I remember not being very happy with our performance. And as a former college coach, if I wasn't very happy, I could easily say what was on my mind to the players, but high school was a little bit different, and Coach Hollaback was there, and I remember thinking, I want to say so many things right now. I'm not sure the boss would appreciate them, so I better not say anything. So anyway, we ended up winning the game 3-2, which was, unbeknownst at that point, the most competitive game that we really had played. Met Stratford in the state championship and won the game 2-0, and it wasn't really that close. I think Caroline scored 2 first-half goals. I think we outshot them like 12-2 or 12-1 or something like that. We'll say 12-0 for the sake of this. So that was the first championship, and it was in Macon. I don't think it was actually at Stratford. I think it was at Mount DeSales, but it was in Macon, which made it that much better. So overall, the girls finished the season 15-0-1. They scored 63 goals. They gave up 8. Up until, I think, 2019, it was the fewest goals ever allowed by a team in school history. So it was quite a season. And like I said, we had no seniors on the team. And so when Coach Hollaback had called me about inducting the team, I said, well, it's really kind of 2014-2015 team, because we really had essentially the exact same team, which turned around the next year in 2015 and won it again. So, like I said, a great team. On a side note, one of the biggest memories I had of 2015 is we ended up playing Deerfield again in, I think, the semifinal, quarterfinal. And again, for whatever reason, we had to go to Deerfield. The entire week of practice, I reminded the girls the year before we had to play on this tiny little field. So we, put all the cones out. So we're basically playing on a field that was as big as the stage. And we're in the bus driving down to Deerfield, and the coach called me and said, hey, I don't remember if I told you or not, we're not playing at Deerfield, we're playing at some college here. I was like, no, you forgot to mention that. So we ended up going to, I don't remember what college, Floyd State, or I don't know what college it was, but there was this massive field, this huge field, beautiful field. And like I said, we had far superior talent than anybody, and getting on that big field, the girls won, I don't know, 6-0 or something. I think we were up 4-0, 15 minutes in the game, and Deerfield coach was not happy, and I think reconsidering taking the second half back to Deerfield. But like I said, it was a great 2-year run. I know we're talking about 2014 team, but it was a great 2-year run for these girls. I'm so happy to see them here and proud of their accomplishments, and certainly thank the committee for recognizing their achievement. I think certainly being the first group to ever win a state championship in girls soccer is maybe their legacy, or a great accomplishment. Being here after they've gone on, I think it's been much more than that. The teams that have come in after them, we don't talk about having to win state championships, but they know what the standard has been. And I think every team that has been here since 2014 has attempted to live up to those standards. And I think that's the legacy of this group. So congratulations to the 2014 state champion on your induction into the Steve Boyd Hall of Fame. I'll name all the girls here as they're coming up. The team these are not in numerical order, alphabetical order, or class order. So Caroline Smith, who's here, Julia Hatcher, Jessica Powell, Banks Collier, Charlotte Rink, Claire Duncan, Bailey Cloutier, McKenna DeGraff, Scotty Wells, Bunny Doris, Ellie Burns, Ada Dolan, Sarah Malik, Tori Williams, Chloe Belangia, Harper Sims, Lily Leroy, and Adelaide Bonneman are the entire team. Girls, congratulations.
We'll get a photo shoot, and then I know we have one player here who would like to say a few words, Caroline.
Ladies,
in
tighten
one
up
of the
just a little bit.
captains.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good, ladies. Just like that. Great.
Hi. So when I found out that the 2014 was going to be the team that was inducted, I really had no idea who was on the team, to be honest. So I Googled it and looked through a bunch of newspapers, and I couldn't find a picture, but I found a quote from Norton that said there wasn't a weak player on the field, and I was like, well, that doesn't really narrow it down much. From like 8th grade on, it was a strong team every year, it felt like. This team was special, I think, though, because we had fun playing soccer. I think before that, it was a lot of stress and a lot of, like, we know we have good players, we know we have quality players, but we need to execute. I think this team, we all had the confidence, like, in each other to know, okay, I get my position done, I get my work done, and they'll have my back. Other than that, I think that's what made this team so special, and it was special that it was a 2014 team, a 2015 team. We lost some, but we got some more girls, and were able to win again in 2016, and that's just something really special to be a part of. So I want to thank them, first of all, because I had a lot of fun playing with them. It was something that I still think about today and still tell stories about today. And obviously thank Norton and all my coaches that got us here. You're an amazing coach to play for, and I love being able to coach for you now. That's something really special for me, to still have that relationship with you today. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being such an awesome team. It's been great. Thank you.
Just to kind of repeat what Bailey said, it was so amazing playing with these women. Soccer's an interesting sport because you have 11 people. It's really hard on the high school level to field 11 really good people where you can actually only have to, think about your own position. A lot of times you have to think about everyone else's position because, you only have 6 really good players. But this, for really even first time I played at prep, when I was in 8th grade, we had a good team. Every year we got more players, we were just better and better, and you could really play soccer, which was amazing. So it's been great. And I just want to say thank you for everyone. Really, we could not have done it without Norton. I annoyed him way too much. I'd be texting him way before the season, like, when can we start, when can we start? But he dealt with me as well as anyone could. They can tell you I annoyed them too. I think I had a countdown, right? And I told them every day how many days it was till soccer. So it's been a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And also I want to thank the parents. I definitely, played club with a lot of these girls, and the parents were always there, my parents were always there, and they sacrificed a lot for us to be where we are right now. So, thank you.
In closing, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the following individuals for their help in making today possible. Committee members Steve Boyd, Harry Batchelor, Carol Trammell, and Rich Blanton. Carol came all the way from Tejas here. Pam Weinberger, Gail Henniger, Oliver Spratt, Derek Willard, and Richard Hammond. So thank you very much. And we're going to have our head of school, Derek Willard, say a few closing remarks.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Come on. All right. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Derek Willard. I am the current head of school here at Augusta Prep. Proud to be that, and proud to be here today. It's great. I tried to stop in at each table, let you know it is my junior year. It has been a bit challenging. My freshman year, we got halfway through, and then we had to go home. But we did it, and then the last 2 years, we've been dealing with this pandemic thing. But you know, one of the things that was painful last year is you know, kind of this community, right? The ability to gather and celebrate and smile and share, clap, laugh, right? Was kind of broken. And so this is my first Steve Boyd Hall of Fame experience, and it's just so wonderful. More than anything, I want to say a couple of thank yous and then just send you on your way. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize former head of school Jack Hall, who's here joining us. Jack, if you could stand. You know, we have this kind of little 60th birthday party. I've been after Jack for a year to come back. Raise your hand if you were an athlete and Jack was the head of school here. So I know we have a handful. Yeah, great, awesome. So also again, I want to echo the thanks that you did, not only the committee, but in particular Pam Weinberger, Gil Henniger from the development office back there. Give them a round of applause. And Oliver Spratt, he's probably hiding, but if you know Mr. Spratt, I mean, you know, this doesn't happen by accident. It's a lot of hard work. Chris Gay, I don't know if you know Mr. Gay, wave for him. This is our communications director. Chris is going to, you know, put all this on social media, etc. So thankful for that. Inductees: Christian, Bill, Andrew, Brooke, ladies. Man, great to hear some of these stories. You know, I had dinner. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a local feature on Tom and kind of this empire, this dynasty, so to speak, that you guys started. And I took Tom out for a steak to celebrate after the most recent state championship. And he told me, he said, well, you know, yeah, this was a good year, but that 2014 team was something else. I wish you could have seen it. So it's great to hear some of those stories today. If you are a current inductee in the Steve Boyd Hall of Fame, would you please stand? All inductees, because I know there are more than, come on. If you are a current inductee, and that's the new ones, come on, you're in the club, right? Stand, please. Come on, all of you. One more round of applause. All right, what a wonderful tradition. And a final thank you to coaches, families, trainers, friends who are here today. Your commitment to these athletes and what they do, right? Your commitment to prep. Thank you so much for that. I mean, I hope you've been listening closely to these stories because they tell us some of the value of sport. Okay? I can't say I was a very talented athlete, but I played a bunch of stuff, including soccer and baseball. And man, you know, people talk about the value of academics. You know, you just mentioned that, but when we survey our kids and our parents, right behind the faculty is sport and arts. Okay? And I think it's part of what you've heard today. I mean, it's not only what individuals learn in terms of focus, perseverance, leadership opportunities, functioning under pressure, teamwork, for the more team-oriented sports, like that is valuable, and it's not we're a book school or a sports school. I think people make things a little too black and white. But our kids put sports right up behind the faculty, okay? And the ability to do those things here enhances the day. It ends up with stories where people used words today like fun, love, joy, right? That's just part of the human condition and part of why we play sport, not just for championships and medals. So I find that uplifting. I hope you heard some of that out there. And the last thing I'll say, since again, I don't know if I mentioned we're having a birthday. We are here in the end, right? And I think part of why this exists to celebrate excellence. The sign out front talks about a tradition of academic excellence. Okay, but this school has 53 state championships over those 60 years. Okay, doesn't matter what league they were in, this, that, or whatever, but we celebrate that too. We celebrate that because of you all who are in this new class. Okay, you are now part of the lore of the last 60, right? And I'm excited for what the next 60 brings, and that we're going to rack up some more championships and induct some more people in the Hall of Fame. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a great day. One more round of applause for everybody.
Just one last thing, in departing, the plaques have already been put up in the hallway. So if you want to go in, especially individuals, and have your picture taken, I'm sure your parents might want to do that. You have that opportunity then. Okay? Thank you so much, and for those that traveled afar, safe travels home, and God bless you all. Thank you.